Good morning, guys. Keith at Crypto Bullseye. And I'll tell you something, you make me work. Now, we've got ICP. Why have we got ICP so soon after the last video? Because the last ICP video raised more questions than what it did answers. And it's a valid question. It's an important question that I'm going to go over on this video. So we had two all-time highs for ICP in 2021. One was on Binance. That was 2,000. One was on Coinbase. That was 500. Can you actually imagine the arbitrage between 500, guys, and 2,000 during that period? So how do you actually measure which chart to use? How do you put your Fibonacci retracement tool from which high? Guys, I'm going to show you why I've put my Fibonacci tool at this level, because it is a consistent lower high. That lower high is exactly the same price between Coinbase, between Binance, and it is about high probability moves, guys. This is the higher probability move. That's why I'm using it. That's why I'm being more conservative. As far as current price action is concerned, nothing has changed. This was the area we needed to beat. That was resistance. That was resistance. That's done an RS flip. That's flipped support. It's not only flipped support, we've got the indicators oversold. So how am I playing the next ICP move? What is this measurement that I use as a lower high to put my Fibonacci retracement? And how am I playing the ICP Altseason? Before we jump into ICP, before we jump into the all-time highs, before we jump into how you solve that problem, let's just do a quick recap of the market. It's a bit of a mixed bag today, guys. You've got SPX, you've got SUI, you've got Injector, you've got Virtual, you've got Quant leading the way, you've got Arbitrum. Got a few red ones here, guys, but it's a mixed bag of when you really start seeing alt season, when you really start seeing the dominance drop, then you'll start seeing alts run in narrative. You'll start seeing DeFi push. You'll start seeing layer ones push. You'll start seeing meme coins push. You'll start seeing AI push, and they'll collectively push together. That's because the flow of liquidity that comes into the crypto market can't push everything up at once. It's got to push narrative, narrative, narrative. Whilst one narrative's going up, another narrative will be pulling back, and then another narrative will be pushing up. And that's how the flow of liquidity will go between alt season, between different narratives. So you can see there's a few running at the moment, guys. What I want to do is just have a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance to find out if that's made any progress. And you can see we're still forming the lower high. We want that lower high to remain intact, and we want this thing to push down. When this thing pushes down, you start seeing things like ICP really start putting in higher highs, real start putting in volatile swings. So it is all relative. We've got Bitcoin hovering round about the all-time highs, 108,000. It put in an all-time high of 111,999, $1 from 112,000. So why is it important that we look at the macro? Because we look at the macro to understand and give us an indication when on-risk assets are about to outperform. So that is that. Let's have a quick look at ICP. So this is what we were talking about. This is firstly the Binance chart. So I said 2,000. It was actually more than 2,000. It was $2,831. That was the all-time high in 2021 for ICP on Binance. Now look at this. This is the Coinbase chart. Exactly the same. You can see exactly the same spike, $497.19. So how do you deal with this and how do you measure this? Because all it is, guys, is buy orders and sell orders. This is what an order book looks like. This is what a bid looks like. That's the current price. That's the sell orders. That's the buy orders. Guess what, guys? It is just people putting in bids, people putting in puts, people putting in limit orders at different levels on different exchanges. One exchange is a different price to another exchange. They always end up putting themselves together. That's called arbitrage, guys. When you see a difference in price from one exchange to another, people jump on there, people close the back gap, people close the gap quickly. Not obviously quick enough on ICP in 2021 during the high. So how can you deal with this dilemma, guys? How can you deal with this problem? Tell you one thing that you can deal with. Firstly, I'm going with the more conservative one. I'm going with Coinbase. Secondly, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm interested in. We made a bounce here, then we come back up, and you've put in a lower high. Now, this lower high, guys, is $85, $87. So $87 on the Coinbase chart was the lower high, guys. And now, if we just measure that, we just measure exactly the same thing. Where is the lower high? Here. $87. So you've got $87 on Coinbase, you've got $87 on Binance. $87 is going to be my measurement for my Fibonacci retracement. So I'm using 87, that's up here. I'm using my Fibonacci retracement from this previous high. And then I'm taking it all the way down to the bear market low down here. That's going to give me an indication of retracement areas where price is likely to hit when we break out. And guys, you don't need to be shooting for 500. You don't need to be shooting for 2,800. This was the lower high. That was consistency on both exchanges. That's when price had settled down. That is the price that I'm using. So if we use that as a measurement, just pull that out, use that as a measurement. You can see, first and foremost, your 38.2s, $34.75. Current price is $5.31. So that's a 32% retracement from that lower conservative high at $87. Then you've got the next one up here, $54.47. And then you've got the 786 retracement, $68.52. So it is about high probability moves. It's about being conservative. If you're going to stick your Fibonacci retracement tool, let's do it. Let's do it on Binance. You're going to stick your Fibonacci retracement tool all the way from here, all the way to its swing low. Let's see if we can find it, all the way down here. And then we'll look at where the 38.2, the conservative 38.2% retracement takes us. All the way up here. 1076.46. So the 38.2% retracement from the previous all-time high on Binance would take us 2 times more than what the all-time high was on Coinbase. Can you see why I'm using this conservative level as the lower high, guys? So it is about, like I say, high probability moves. Make sure that you don't go for the all-time high on Binance. Make sure you don't go for the all-time high on Coinbase. Make sure you look for that level where there was a sticking point. After price cooled down in 2022, put in that lower high. That was the rejection point. Use that as the high. Stick the fib on that from the swing high to the swing low. And then you've got your 382, your 618, your 786. And they're just retracement levels, guys. You can break and close above that and then put in projections, but do not stick it on 500. Do not stick it on 2,800. So if you did find this video useful, guys, let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next. And I will see you very soon.